Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace today, and I'm going to use some of the beads that I have gotten from Beebeecraft. Mostly the ones I got in my most recent order, the ones in these two trays. These are some beads I got from them many orders ago. I have a playlist, if you want to check it out, of videos where I have done Beebeecraft product reviews for a little over a year now. I can't hardly believe it's been a little over a year that I've been working with them. They just have tons of beads and bindings and jewelry making supplies, and they have just incredible prices. I have a coupon code. It's Teresa10, and I'll put it on the screen here and in the description box below, along with a link to the Beebeecraft homepage. They offer free shipping for orders over $25, and the coupon will save you 10% off your order if you make an order with them. In here I have the 4mm, I think they were called ivory tiny satin luster beads that I got in my most recent order. I got like 20 strands of them. Of course, I'm not going to need this many. I just cut off one of the strands and put them in here. These are some 6mm beads that I got in my most recent order. I think there were 20 strands of those too, and they were all mixed colors. And I picked out these teal ones here. These are some 8mm howlite beads that I got many orders ago from Beebeecraft. Going to be using some Miyuki 11.0 and 15.0 Duracoat galvanized silver seed beads. In here I've got some 2mm teal colored fire polish beads that I'm going to be using from my stash. In here I have a lobster clasp, some 6mm jump rings, one 8mm jump ring. I'm going to be using some chain to finish off the back of the necklace, but I don't know how much of that I'm going to need yet. I have a little piece of that same chain that I'm going to use as an extender, and I have a ball head pin and one of the little white beads I'm going to use to dangle off the extender chain. I've got some 20 gauge eye pins that I want to use to connect the beads together. I think this is a size 12 beading needle, but you could probably use an 11. I think it would be fine. I'm going to be using my 8-pound fire line in crystal, the white color. I'll be using my chain nose pliers, my tweezer pliers, my round nose pliers, both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers, the crimping pliers I use to tuck in burrs when I cut off wire, the cutters I use for craft wire and eye pins and head pins. I use my memory wire cutters to cut my chain. I usually do that off camera, but that's what I use to cut chain. I'll be using my scissors to cut my fire line, and I have my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in when I cut them off. I think that's everything. I'll put links to all the Beebeecraft products I'm using in the description box below, and I'll also put links to everything else I can find links for that I'm using that didn't come from Beebeecraft, and put that in the description box below too. So hold on, I'll get some of this out of the way and I'll be back. Okay, I've got some of my beads out here now, and I'm going to get started. I'm going to make some beaded beads, and I'm going to connect them together to make a necklace. And each beaded bead takes 4 6mm beads, 8 4mm beads, 4 of the little 2mm fire polish beads, and then I have my 8/0s and my 15/0s here. So this is just a really easy little beaded bead. It's not something that I came up with. It's there are many videos out there showing how to do beaded beads like this. It's just going to be a little cubic right angle weave box, and I'm going to embellish it a little bit. So I'm going to pick up a 4mm, a 6mm, a 4mm, and a 6mm. And I have my needle threaded. I've got about 3.5 feet of thread on here. I'm not sure. I've not measured yet because I haven't made one of these yet. I mean, I've made them before, but I hadn't made one in a while, so I don't know exactly how much thread it takes. I've got about 3.5 feet of thread on my needle. I think that'll be plenty. It'll probably take about 2 or 3 feet of thread. I'll measure though and let you know before the end of the video, and if I forget, which I most likely will, I'll put it in the description box below. So I've got a 4mm, a 6mm, a 4mm, and a 6mm. I'm going to sew back through all these again, and I'm just leaving enough of a tail to hold on to. I'm going to sew around these beads a lot, and I'll just be able to cut it off. I won't have to bother sewing it back in or anything. So I'm going to sew around all these beads again. I'm not going to reinforce this as much as I usually reinforce because I'm going to be sewing around it a lot to connect it together and all that, but I'm going to sew around this first unit again to make sure that it's nice and solid before I get started here. And I'm going to sew around until I'm coming out this 6mm bead again. So this is my first little right angle weave unit. I'm going to try to pull it up tight since I'm not going to reinforce as much as I usually do. Now I'm going to make another right angle weave unit, and my right angle weave unit is consisting of the top is a 4mm bead and the bottom is a 4mm bead and the sides are 6mm beads. So I need to make my next box. I've already got my side, which is my 6mm bead. So I need my top, which is a 4mm bead, my other side, which is a 6mm bead, and my bottom, which is a 4mm bead. I'm coming out the top of that 6mm bead. I'm going to go on the bottom of it. And now I'm going to sew back around until I'm coming back out that 6mm bead so I can make my next unit. I'll try to keep good tension on it since I'm not reinforcing a lot. Now I'm going to make my next right angle weave unit. I've already got my side, which is my 6mm bead. So I need a top, which is my 4mm bead. Another side, which is my 6mm bead. And my bottom. I can keep these beads on my needle. And the bottom, which is a 4mm bead. Now I'm coming out the top of that 6mm bead. I'm going to go on the bottom of it. And just dropped all my beads off my needle. Alright. Start this over again here. 4mm, 6mm, 4mm. My needle is bent. I'm using a bent needle. I should have got a straight one out here. It's helpful to do this if you have a straight needle. Okay, now I'm coming out the top of this 6mm bead. I'm going to go on the bottom of it. Pull all that through. Now I'm going to sew around until I'm coming out the 6mm bead again. Okay, now I'm going to turn this into a cube. So, in order to do that, first I'm going to push my stop bead out of the way here. Now, I'm going to fold it together. Like that. Now I need to make my last little right angle weave unit. I've already got my two sides here, so I need to pick up a top bead, which is a 4mm. I'm going to go from the top of this bead into the top of this bead. And now I need a bottom bead, so I'm going to pick up another 4mm. I'm going to go from the bottom of this 6mm up into the bottom of this 6mm. And that makes that right angle weave unit. Now I'm going to sew across this 4mm bead. Pull all this up tight as I can. Now, these 4mm beads on the top are not connected. I need to sew around them to connect them. But as I do that, I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and put it between all of these 4mm beads. I'm just going to go from 4mm bead to 4mm bead, putting an 11/0 in there. I'm going to try to pull it tight as I go. Because I want my little bead to not be loose. Of course, I've still got a lot of sewing around it to do, so it's going to get tighter before I'm done. So I've got an 11/0 between all those 4mm beads. I'm going to sew around it again to just get it nice and tight. So I'm going to go sew through all the 11/0s and all the 4mm beads. And I'm going to come out that 4mm bead there. Now I'm going to go into this 6mm bead here, because I want to get down here to the bottom to sew these 4mm beads on the bottom together. So I'm going to go in that 6mm bead. Now I'm going to turn it over here and try to get my stop bead out of the way. Now see, these are not sewed together either, so I need to sew them together too. But first of all, I'm going to go in one of them. You don't want to be coming out of 6mm, you want to be coming out one of the 4mm. Now I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and put it between all these 4mm, just like I did on the other side. So I'm going to pick up an 11/0, go into this 4mm, pick up an 11/0, go into this 4mm. Just going to do this all the way around. I'm going to pull that tight, and I'm going to go around all these again. I'll push this stop bead out of the way. I'm going to cut it off here in a minute when I get around all these again. I'm just going to go around all 4 of these white beads and the seed beads again. I'm going to come out that 4mm, not the seed bead, just the 4mm. Now I'm going to cut this tail off. So that's what I've got so far. Now I'm going to embellish this a little bit. So I'm going to go down into this 6mm bead. Now I'm going to pick up 4 15/0s. One of my fire polish beads. and 4 15-ohs. That's what I've got, 4 15-ohs, a fire polish, and 4 15-ohs. And you don't have to use a fire polish there if you don't have them. You could use an 8-0, it would work fine just there. I just had these fire polish beads that I thought matched the 6mm beads well, and y'all know me, I always need to add a little bling to everything, so that's why I'm using these. So I'm coming out of the top of this 6mm bead. I'm going to go diagonally into this 6mm bead and pull my thread through, and that lays a little strip there, my little embellishment across my beads. Now I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pick up 4 15-ohs, one of my fire polish beads, and 4 more 15-ohs, and I'm going to go from this side of this 6mm diagonally into this 6mm. Pull my embellishment down there. Now I'm going to turn it around here. I'm going to do the same thing. 4 more 15-ohs, a fire polish bead, and 4 more 15-ohs. And I'm going to go from the top of this 6mm bead into the bottom of this 6mm bead diagonally. Now I'm going to do that one more time. 4 15-ohs, a fire polish bead, and 4 15-ohs. I'm going to go from the top of this 6mm into the bottom of this 6mm. And just the 6mm, I don't want to catch on to any of the seed beads. So that's what I've got so far. And you can leave your embellishment like that if you want to. That's fine, that's pretty. But I'm going to do a little bit more. And before I do the next step, I want to lock in this last strip that I made, because I don't want it to be, if I don't, when I do the next part, it'll pull out, and I don't want it to do that. So I'm coming out of this 6mm, I'm going to go up into this 4mm, cross into this 6mm. I'm just circling around this unit that I'm in here, down into this 4mm, and I don't want to catch on to any of the seed beads, just the big beads, and then back across into this 6mm bead, which is where I started, and that just kind of locks that last strip in place so it won't come apart as easy when I'm doing this next part. So now I'm going to make X's across here. So I'm going to pick up 4 more 15-ohs, and I'm going to go up into this fire polish bead from the bottom, and I'm going to hold my hand over it while I pull this through, because if I don't, it'll still pull out. It'll try to pull out some. So that makes 3 legs of my little X that I'm making here. Now I'm going to pick up 4 more 15-ohs, and to complete my X that I'm trying to make here, I need to go into my 6mm bead this way. That makes a little X on there. Now I'm going to turn it over here and do that again. I'm going to pick up 4 more 15-0s. I'm going to go up into my fire polish bead from the bottom here. I'm going to hold on to it, pull my thread through. Pull it up tight. Now I'm going to pick up 4 more 15-0s. And to complete my X, I need to go in my 6mm bead this way. Like that. Now I'm going to turn it around here and do that again. 4 more 15-0s. I'll go up into the fire polish bead from the bottom. I'll hold on to it and pull my thread through. 4 more 15-0s. And I'm going to go into this side of my 6mm bead. Pull that up tight. Now I just have 1 more of my X's to finish here. I'll pick up 4 more 15-0s. I'm going to go up into this fire polish bead from the bottom. Just the fire polish bead, not the my needle's trying to go in that 15-0 and I don't want it to do that, so just the fire polish bead. I'll hold on to it and pull my thread through. I'll pick up 4 more 15-0s. And I'm going to go into this side of my 6mm bead to make my X. And make sure to just get through the 6mm bead. Don't catch on to any of the seed beads. That makes my last X. So now I've got little X's all the way around there. So now I'm coming out of this 6mm here. I want to go into this 4mm bead and the 11-0. At the top here, I kind of want to cinch this top in a little bit. So I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s, 1 11-0, and 2 15-0s. So I'm going to go from this 11-0 into this 11-0. Now I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm going to pick up 2 more 15-0s, an 11-0, 2 more 15-0s. We'll go from this 11-0 into this 11-0. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more 15-0s, an 11-0, 2 more 15-0s, go into the 11-0 on the other side of that pearl, 4mm pearl. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more 15-0s, an 11-0, and 2 more 15-0s. And now I'm back around to where I started. I'm going to go into this 11-0 that I started in. Now I'm going to go up these 2 15-0s in the 11-0 with the peak there. And now I'm going to sew all these 11-0s together. So I'm going to go from the 11-0 at this peak into the 11-0 at this peak. And then go into the 11-0 at this peak. Into the 11-0 at this peak. And that pulls them all together like that. Now I'm going to sew around this a couple of times to get it good and tight. Just the 11-0s, sewing through all 4 of these 11-0s to pull it in like that and get it good and tight. Okay, now I need to get to this other side here to do that same thing. So I'm going to go down these 2 15-0s. I'm going to go into this 11-0 in the 4mm. Now I'm going to go down this 6mm. I'm going to go into this 11-0. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this end as I did the other end. I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s and 11-0, 2 15-0s, go from this 11-0 into this 11-0, and do that all the way around. And then, well, I'll just do it. I was going to just say that I would do that part off camera, but I'll just go ahead and do it with you all because I don't want you to be confused. I need to get some more 15-0s out here. I misjudged how many I was going to need for this. So I'm coming out this 11-0. I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s and 11-0. 2 15-0s. I'm going to go from this 11-0 to the 11-0 on the other side of this 4mm. I'm going to pick up 2 more 15-0s and 11-0. 2 more 15-0s. Go from the 11-0 here into the 11-0 on the other side of that 4mm. Pick up 2 more 15-0s, 11-0, 2 more 15-0s. Go from this 11-0 into the 11-0 on the other side of that purl. I'm going to pick up 2 more 15-0s and 11-0, 2 more 15-0s, and I'm going to go into the 11 on the other side of this purl, which is the one I started in. Now I'm going to sew up these 2 15-0s and get into that 11-0 at the peak there. Now I'm going to sew all 4 of these 11-0s together. I'm going to go from this 11-0 at this peak into this 11-0 at this peak, into this 11-0 at this peak, and into this 11-0 at this peak, then back into the 11-0 I started in at this peak. Pull that all together. I'm going to sew into all these 11-0s again to get it nice and tight. So now I'm done. So now I just need to tie 3 1/2 inch knots. So I'm going to go under this thread bridge here. Make my loop, go through the loop, pull my thread down slowly, go into another bead, go under this thread bridge, get my needle under there, we go. Go through the loop, pull the thread down slowly, go into another bead, go under this thread bridge, go through my loop, pull my thread down slowly, go through another bead or two, now I'm going to cut off my thread. So there's my little beaded bead. Now I think I've decided I'm going to make 5 of these. So I'm going to make the rest of them off camera, and then when I get them all done, I'll come back and we'll connect them all together. So I'll be back. Okay, I've got all 5 of my beaded beads made here, and I thought I was recording and I wasn't, and I hooked some of them together already, but we'll just pretend I didn't do that yet. I've got some eye pins here, so I'm going to take one of my little white 4mm beads and one of my beaded beads, and when you put these on, you just want to make sure that when you put it on right in the center of those 4 11-ohs that we put at the end there, and then that you come out between the 4 11-ohs on the other side so it's centered. And then I'm going to put these little white 4mm beads on here. I can get it on there. There. Now I'm going to make a simple loop, and I am not the best at making simple loops, but I'm going to go a little bit above the bead because I don't want to crack my bead. Bend the wire over at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to cut off and leave about 1/4 of an inch with a pin. I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to go to the very end here and make sure there's nothing sticking out here. And I like to go down pretty far on the barrel here to get my loop started. And then I go to the tip and finish it because I want a little tiny loop to kind of match the little tiny loop that's on the eye pin already. Just roll till I get my loop made. Maybe roll it a little bit more. So that's what I've got. Now I'm going to take another eye pin and I'm going to open the loop, the eye of the eye pin. And I'm going to thread this that I've already made on, close my eye back. I'm going to take one of my howlite beads, put it on here. I'm going to go to the little bit above the bead. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Cut off and leave about 1/4 of an inch with a pin. Take my round nose pliers, go to the tip here, start my loop, then go to the tip and finish my loop. Okay, now I'm going to take another eye pin and open the eye. Thread on this side that has my highlight bead. Close my eye back. I'm going to take another one of my beaded beads. Put it on here. Make sure I get, oh no, I need a little white bead first. I'm having the hardest time getting these on here. I guess these eye pins are thicker than the hole in that 4mm bead. Now I'm going to go through my beaded bead and then put another white bead on here. Now I'm going to go take my pliers, go a little bit above the bead, bend over at a 90-degree angle, cut off and leave about 1/4 of an inch of the pin. Around those pliers, start my loop. Go to the tip and finish my loop. I think I might not have left enough of the pin that time. I don't know if I have enough to wrap here or not. Well, that doesn't look good at all. Let me see if I can cock that back and there we go. It looks better. Except it's not straight with this loop down here at the bottom, which it often is not when I do this. I'm going to take 2 pairs of pliers and just turn it so that the loops are the same, facing the same way. So now I'm going to keep connecting these together with a highlight bead in the middle. And then I'm going to finish the back of it up with some highlight beads and some of these little 6mm beads that I used in the beaded beads. So when I get all that done, I'll come back and show you what my pattern was that I did, and then I'll have figured out by then how much chain I need, and we'll put the findings on and we'll be done. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm progressing along here, and I've got all my beaded beads hooked together with the highlight beads between them, and I'm working on the back of the necklace now. And I just wanted to show you, I thought some of you might be interested. Whenever I use one of these eye pins for these highlight beads or these little 6mm beads, I have quite a bit of the eye pin left when I'm done, and I hate to throw that away. So I make another eye pin out of it. So I'm just going to go to the kind of the end here, and I'm going to bend it over at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to cut off and leave about 1/4 of an inch of the pin, just like I've been doing. And I'm going to take my round nose pliers, go to the end here and start a loop, and then go to the end and finish my loop. And make a little eye pin out of that scrap that I had left. Now I'm going to open my loop that I just made up and thread on my bead here. Close it up. I'm going to put one of my highlight beads on here. And I'm going to go to the little bit above the bead. bend over at a 90-degree angle, cut off and leave about 1/4 of an inch with a pin. And go to the end and start rolling back my loop. Then go to the tip and finish rolling back my loop. And that's not at all. That's not facing anywhere near, that's facing completely opposite the one down here. I'm going to take my pliers and twist it so that they're facing the same way. So that's what I do to not have so much waste. So I ended up using almost all of that eye pin without wasting any of it. So I just wanted to show you all that. So I'm going to finish here, and when I get done I'll be back. Okay, I've got my necklace all hooked together now, and I did the 5 beaded beads with the howlite bead between them, and then I just did a howlite bead, a 6mm bead, and alternated them back here for the back of the necklace, and I used 3 of the howlite beads and 3 of the 6mm beads on each side. And it comes to about 14 inches, this part does. So I've got a couple of pieces of chain here. They're 3 inches each. And I've got I'm going to take the end of my necklace here and find the side that opens. And open it and thread on my chain, close it back, I'm just going to do that on this other side. I think I'll do that with my tweezer pliers. I think I can handle these better with smaller pliers. So I'm going to find the side that opens, open it up, put my chain on, close it back, now I'm going to take a 6mm jump ring, open it up, put my chain on and my lobster clasp, close it back up. Now I've got an 8mm jump ring, open it up, put it on this side, and then I have a little piece of extender chain. It's about 2 inches long. Put that on there, close it back, and we're done, except I'm going to make a little dangle to go on the extender chain. So I've got a ball head pin, one of these little 4mm white beads. I go to the tip of the pliers, bend over at a 90-degree angle, and around those pliers, put them in the crook of the bend, around those pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take this part under until it hits the bottom of the tool, kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. That usually stands this little piece of wire almost straight up. I'm going to take my pliers and open my loop, thread on my extender chain, Close my loop back. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring this wire down. Take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. Make sure to get that first wrapping under the bottom of the loop, not over the top of the bottom of the loop. Just wrap till there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. And I use these crimping pliers, the little half circles at each end there. I use them to tuck in burrs when I cut off wire. And there's my little dangle. So I'm done now with my beaded bead necklace. So hold on, let me see if I can get everything cleaned up and get it laid out here so you can see it and everything, and I'll be back. Okay, there's my beaded bead necklace made with some of the beads that I've gotten from Beebeecraft. These little beaded beads are not at all hard to make. They don't take very long. They take about 2.5 feet of thread each for each bead. Like I said, if you decide you want to make an order with Beebeecraft, that coupon code will save you 10% off your order. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. I also sell gift cards and some extra beads and findings that I have. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.